tremendous looking trophy.
One of the number one PlayStation podcast in the Oceanias. My name's Dylan Blight. Joining me, Ashley Holdblue.
Hey Dylan, excited for Black Friday this week, even though I've got no money to spend on Black Friday stuff.
I hate how we do this now because like it's not a thing that Australia does, but all of a sudden all the like online retailers start doing all these Black Friday sales and whatever. And not to mention, they're not Black Friday sales. The Black Friday sales start a week before. So you've got like pre-Black Friday sales, early access Black Friday sales, and then you got the Black Friday sales when Black Friday happens. Now, after saying all of that to be a huge hypocrite, I will be looking at Amazon's Black Friday sales because I do have Christmas shopping to do and I will be looking for a good bargain.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there. Just putting it out there. I think it's silly, but I got shopping
wallet.
to do. Yeah, wallet.
We have shopping to do.
I do have presents, man. All right, so in the trophy cabinet this week, a bronze trophy for Rumours of a new Assassin's Creed, a silver trophy for Rumours of Resident Evil 3 Remake, gold trophy for Rumours of a new Crash Bandicoot game, and we hit a platinum for Rumours. No, we going to talk about Troy Baker and Nolan North bit because they played The Last of Us, and I watched it, and I've never watched their thing before, and it was good. Yes. Let's jump into some news straight away. So, welcome to the official Rumour official 138 platinum explosion. Rumours get wild. So Press Start writes, PlayStation looks to be teasing a new Crash game called Crash Bandicoot Worlds. According to internet sleuths, the brand new It's Time to Play commercial by Sony may have just revealed an upcoming Crash Bandicoot sequel. The evidence offered in support of this claim can be seen at the 11 to 18 second mark and takes the form of an unfamiliar mask floating above Dr. Neo Cortex's racing cart. Wooden masks, possessed by friends and foes alike, have been a part of the Crash Bandicoot franchise since its inception in 1996, but the white circular mask featured in this particular ad doesn't belong to any other Crash game that we know of, at least not yet. They continue to say that the Crash... It's worth mentioning that rumors of next Crash Bandicoot game have been posted on 4chan. Oh, yeah, great source. Recently by the same person that leaked the Insane Trilogy and Crash Team Racing well before they were announced. Here's what that person had to say. Crash Bandicoot World will apparently see them as superhero traveling around Earth in a Mario 3D world-styled adventure featuring new enemies, characters, and more. Activision, Crash Bandicoot's publisher, has said nothing, but the internet's rumblings seem to suggest a reveal for Crash Bandicoot Worlds is imminent, and a trailer at this year's Game Awards show in December seems likely, given that Nitro Fuel debuted at the ceremony last year. When tagged in a tweet about the mysterious mask, Toys for Bob character artist Nicholas Cole responded with a thinking face emoji, quoting the tweet on his own timeline. And then someone else has pointed out that there is an ad going up somewhere with a Crash that people reckon is a different model than the new one, but a lot of people are arguing that's the same one that was made for the remakes, blah, 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 blah. Long story short, new Crash, what are the odds? What do you put in the 50, 60, 40, 70, 80? What do we got? New Crash Bandicoot game getting revealed at the Game Awards?
Probably 60, 65. I mean, the remaster did so well sales-wise, it would make sense that Activision would be like, hey, let's get a team to make a new Crash Bandicoot game.
Yeah. I
mean, it's a property that's been dormant for so long and then so clamored for, so I would be shocked if they're not working on a new game. As for whether this is a hint at it, I don't know. It could just be DLC for the Nitro Fuel.
Yeah.
Like, you get some silly new weapon thing.
Yeah. I don't know if they are connected. I guess it's just the only part that had me on board with this story was the whole tweet thing, because recently we keep seeing these people that work for companies like quote retweeting things and being a little sly.
They just like stirring the pot.
Yeah, they might a little bit, but still, it adds a little bit of
do it for the likes.
Adds a little bit of credence to what everyone thinks here. I think it's a given. Announcing it at the Game Awards would make sense. I would be down for it. My only fear is that outside of the original 3 Crash Bandicoot games and like Crash Team Racing, I really don't think majority of people care for any Crash Bandicoot games made outside of those, and that's the reason that the franchise ended up dormant the first time. So now they've like remade the 3 that everyone loves. They did really well, and then they're going to try and make a new one again, and somehow I can't just feel like it's just gonna go the way that it's gone every other time where they try and make another one and it's gonna have some crazy weird characters and whatever. Like, it's just like I tried playing the PS2 ones they made back in the day, which I guess were trying to be like Mario 3D Land, Super Mario or whatever. And they just lost the charm. It was weird. It didn't feel like Crash Bandicoot. So I'll be intrigued, I guess. But also, I guess if Toys for Bob is doing it, they've kind of proven they have an understanding and love for the franchise. It's not like some random company's just being forced to do it that hasn't proven they have a love for it. I don't know. It's interesting. Also, the remaster was finished. Like, time-wise, it does make sense. Even though it seems like the Crash thing came out like yesterday. like they could have been working on this for a couple of years at this point. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does add up. Let's get on to the next thing. More rumors. I don't know. Well, this is more of a leak, I guess. VideoGamesChronicle.com says PS5 controller shown in patent images. A Sony Interactive Entertainment patent has revealed images of what could be the PlayStation 5's controller. The images, which were first published on the Japanese Patent Office website today, attributed to the PlayStation manufacturer and match a description of the PS5's prototype pad in a Wired article, in which Sony's next-gen controller is described as an awful lot like the PS4's DualShock 4. The patent specifically highlights a microphone, but comparison images posted online show that there are many subtle changes between the pictured controller and a DualShock 4. The controller pictured in the patent features larger triggers, slightly smaller sticks, a USB port, and no light bar. The prototype PS5 controller currently being sent to developers is described as, quote, an unlabeled matte black doohickey. That looks very similar to the PS4's DualShock 4, but Sony has confirmed some significant additions. One major improvement added to the PS5's controller is adaptive triggers, which SIE says can offer varying levels of resistance to make game mechanics such as shooting a bow and arrow, the tension increasing as you pull the throwback to throw back the arrow, feel more realistic. The PS5 controller, which will switch to USB-C for charging, also includes haptic feedback with highly programmable voice coil articulators located in the left and right grips of the pad. Combined with improved speaker on the controller, the haptics can enable astonishing effects. So they've got some pictures up here, and then they've also done their own mock-up of what the controller would look like. Of course, all of this is in the description of the show if you want to look yourself. They got like a side-by-side thing here. I think, like, if this is what we're looking at, yes, I think when you look at the new one compared to the DualShock 4 side by side, it definitely is like fatter. You can tell, like it's not Xbox controller fat, but it's still compared to the DualShock 4 quite bigger. I can't really tell by the picture that the sticks would be thinner. They look the DualShock's knobs themselves look the same size.
No, it looks pretty much the same, just like the actual controller itself a little bit thicker.
Yeah, so the controller looks thicker. Then there's also the touchpad in turn also looks bigger, I guess, because the controller gets a bit bigger, so the touchpad gets a bit bigger. Then of course the other standout thing on the controller is obviously the thing running at the bottom of it, which is presumably the voice command microphone slot input thing.
Yeah.
Down the bottom there. And then, no touch bar, which I don't know. Light bar, sorry, yeah. I don't know if I buy into the light bar not being there upon final release, solely because if they're carrying over PSVR, how does that work? Exactly. So I don't buy into that. Maybe for this, like when they did the patent, and maybe they were doing the test runs with it, they just did without it, obviously, to test out all the new features and whatever else. But I definitely would say that when the full controller releases, that the light bar would have to be there, because it would literally make PSVR so many games unplayable. So, and they're like, yeah, sure, you can bring your PSVR over, but you still have to use your old controllers with this system. It'll be like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, we're using PS Move controllers from PlayStation 3 still.
We are, I guess. But then they kind of open themselves up to some more problems because the second they're like, hey, new PS5, cool. Here you go. You get one controller in the box, as per usual. You got a PSVR, cool. You have to hook up your old DualShock controllers to be able to use them. The second people hear that you can hook up old DualShock controllers to this, then people will be like, well, why am I buying a new controller? I'll just use the 3-4 I've already got for all my multiplayer games and so on and so forth, and I won't buy extra DualShocks. You know what I mean? They kind of dig themselves a hole there, I guess, if that's the route they go. So, yeah. They could make the light bar thinner, surely, and still have it work as well. I don't really know how the technology works, and if it needs to be as maybe they could get away
prominent.
Maybe they could get away with making it a little bit prominent. Maybe they could add the ability so it turns on and off on this one, just depending on with ease. Because I know you can fiddle with it a bit, but maybe it's just off all the time unless you're using it for something like PSVR or whatever, where it's a game that actually requires the light bar to be turned on. Yeah, because I know I personally I know, what was I playing recently? Yeah, when I was playing Jedi Fallen Order, I kept being like, this fucking light is changing consistently, and it's pissing me off because I'm sitting in a dark room and it's shining these different colors onto my TV. And I'm like, go away, I don't care. The light bar has never been something that's blown my mind the whole time I've had a PS4. Maybe the first week or first month or something, I was like, oh, this is really exciting. Look at the colors it changes and all this sort of stuff. But I'm like, I don't care. It changed. Oh, I remember playing Killzone Shadowfall. It's like, oh, it goes from green to red when you're losing health and all this stuff. I'm like, it's the controller is facing away from me. This does not help me. You know? Do you care for it? Do you care for it? Or?
I don't have a problem with the light. I've never had a problem with the light. I mean, sometimes it's cool when it changes color. But
look at you, light neutral over here. Well, I've never had a problem with the light. It's fine.
Yeah. It's fine.
It's the same as the speaker. Because, I mean, I don't know if I don't remember if we said this on the thing, but I don't care for a speaker, and I know you don't really either because we play with headphones on.
Yep.
So that's another DualShock feature. So the light bar plus the speaker were two prominent DualShock 4 features, I guess, and neither I care for because I can't see the bloody light thing, and I play my PlayStation games always with a headset on of some sort. So anytime anything's been happening, I've not heard it. You know, the baby's making noises playing Death Stranding. I can't hear it. I don't care.
Well, I can hear it. I just can't hear it from my controller.
Yeah, I hear it in the way I want to hear it in my actual ear holes, not through the controller. You know, Look, there's a lot of gimmicky shit I don't care for this. Anyway, PS DualShock 5. It's fatter. It's got a speaker thing. Get hyped. Rumour. Assassin's Creed Ragnarok is the name of the next game. Will be on both PS4 and PS5 rights. Push Square. Rumours have long been swirling about Ubisoft's follow-up to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, though thought to be all about Vikings. The supposed code name for the game is Kingdom. However, according to a new scuttlebutt doing the rounds online, what the fuck is that? A scuttlebutt? Just want to pause for a second and say scuttlebutt.
Really? You've never heard scuttlebutt used before?
I have, but I gotta say, I've never heard it thrown out in a thing like this, I guess, you know, okay. Scuttlebutt doing the rounds online. Assassin's Creed Ragnarok will be known for the upcoming sequel. One or two sources have shared information and more. Allegedly, Ragnarok, if that's even a real name, will take place around 800 AD. Will delve into the first civilization storyline and feature a map covering Scandinavia and England. A now deleted Reddit post tells us you'll play as a male or female Viking named Jorah who becomes an assassin during the game. It's also the recruitment system from Brotherhood is back, and there will be a mythical location and characters to discover. Gameplay will apparently be largely the same as Odyssey, including the stints of modern day story.
Shocking.
Yeah, who thought? Finally, it said the Ragnarok will be cross-gen title, releasing a version for both PlayStation 4 and PS5 next year. Blah, 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 blah. Of course, all this should be taken with a pinch of salt, it says. I would choose to believe this because we've heard these these rumors have popped up to me different times to kind of not be true at this point, I feel. And also Ubisoft just leaks the fuck out of all their games, it seems. So it's like, if you hear a leak for Assassin's Creed, it's most likely true. You know?
Yeah.
You hear the crazy stories. It's like, I was sitting on a bus and I saw the person in front of me reading Assassin's Creed Ragnarok notes, which any other game you'd probably be like, that's a bullshit story. If someone said that for this, I'd be like, it's probably true. That's probably legit what happened.
I mean, it's almost at the point that they see somebody like reading an Assassin's Creed book or article on their phone, and the developer leans over and goes, you know, we're working on a new one.
Yeah, basically.
It's called Assassin's Creed Ragnarok.
It's how they...
It's got Vikings.
Yeah. At this stage, I'm like, is this secret promotion? They just keep paying someone to sit on a bus or a plane just...
Shh, don't tell anybody.
Yeah, just putting out fucking information or something. My thing I wrote down in the notes for this, though, just as a bit of a joke, but I thought was funny, is that... So they're gonna... If it is called Ragnarok and they're going to go into like the mythical stuff and potentially do like the Ragnarok storyline, does that buy into God of War 2's potential theme, or is it completely different? People won't get bored playing this similar storylines over a couple of year period, maybe.
I don't know. I feel like from that description, it's not going to be the end of the world-esque Ragnarok Norse mythology story, which is kind of a bait and switch. It means that their titling is kind of lazy. They're like, what's the most Viking word that we can use in the title? Ragnarok. It's got Thor. Everybody knows what Ragnarok is now. Yeah. So let's just chuck that in.
I mean,
a bit lazy.
Possibly. It's a bit. And another thing that I would choose to believe with this that makes sense, obviously because we talked about it and it happened last time, is that this... So if this is going to be a PS4 cross and then come over the PS5 title, once again, though, the part that I just want to bring up that's confusing me still compared to the last generation is, so say this game comes out October, and which is usually when they come out. So say this comes out October next year, to reveal that E3 would make sense, I guess. And then it comes out on PS5.
It'll get leaked way before then.
Yeah, it was already leaked now, apparently. So they'll have the full trailer.
We'll know everything.
Yeah, we'll know everything way before June. Yeah. Well, if E3 still happens, there's always an asterisk on that, I guess. Yeah. If it comes out on that in October and it comes out on PS5 in November, the only thing I'm confused about again is that last gen it made sense because you had to buy the game twice, but you could do the $10 upgrade deal. But once again, I just want to bring up the whole fact that this talking about having backwards compatibility. So I'm just like, okay, so if I buy this on my PS4 and I can just put the disc in my PS5, how do they sell me, and me being like general public term I'm using here, how do they sell me that I should buy the PS5 version a month later?
Because that version is optimized to be played on the PS5.
Do you really think that is going to work for the general gamer, though?
I think people will either buy it day one or they'll wait for the PS5 version. You're going to be split either way, so you might as well try and get money from both.
They'll want both, though. But the thing that is always interesting about this is they don't want people to wait. They want people to buy it day one and then buy it again or upgrade or something like that. Because they don't want people to wait because they need those day one, week one sales numbers, you know? They need those sales to impress stockholders and, whatever.
Their best option is to wait till next gen launches.
Yeah. It's just because I find that if this gen is going to be more confusing, I do wonder how many more people would be like, I'll just wait. I'll just wait a month. But then maybe I'm wrong and more people would just be quite happy to buy it and then they don't care about the extra frame rates or, Yeah,
they don't need the load times to be better.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff. So maybe they don't care. And they're like, whatever, I'll just buy it now and I'll
just play it.
Just play it on my PS5 and probably load a little bit faster anyway.
A month is a long time. We might not have a choice.
This is very true.
Who knows what games are going to be popping out at the end of next year? It's like you either play it when it releases on PS4, or you don't play it again because so many other titles are coming out afterwards.
Well, yeah. And there's probably going to be a few. And that, especially because launch, you have no idea how many, like if we're going to have a good launch lineup or a bad launch lineup. So it's like,
yeah.
Okay, so PS5 comes out with Knack 3, got to play that.
Yep, definitely.
Knack Karting, got to play that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Knack Battle Royale.
Knack Battle Royale, got to play that. Man, I'd love if they launched the PS5 with nothing but a variation of Knack titles. Fucking Mark Cerny's just sitting at home like, yes.
Every genre.
Yes. Got it sold. I'll talk about possible things that could come out next year. Rumour. That's right, it's a Rumour show. Push Square writes, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis will stomp to PS4 next year. So the original story says, a remake of Resident Evil 3 Nemesis has been rumored since the successful release of Resident Evil 2 earlier this year, but looks like an announcement could be imminent. Spawnwave has been credited with leaking multiple titles, including Elden Ring. In case you've somehow forgot, everyone listening, Elden Ring was that George R.R. Martin / From Software thing that was it was revealed at E3, but they didn't really show anything of it. Claims that a revival of the PS1 survival horror is in development at Capcom and is targeting a release next year. Assuming that intended 2020 date is accurate, an announcement could be imminent, perhaps as early as the Game Awards next month. It'll be interesting to see which platforms this project is aiming for. While the PS4 is almost guaranteed, there's a strong possibility it may nab a PS5 version as well. They did an update to the article saying, adding further fuel to the fire, VGC has reported that it's been told by, quote, number of sources that a Resident Evil 3 Nemesis remake is in production and is scheduled for release next year. Eurogamer then corroborates the news by stating it's also heard of the project, saying, quote, sources close to development suggest it's been in development for some time. So I haven't played the Resident Evil 2 thing yet. I brought it. You want to quickly tie it back to how we opened the show. PlayStation has a decent Black Friday sale at the moment. I brought two things. They had 25% off PlayStation Plus. That's pretty good. Solid percentage off. I grabbed 12 months there, and because I was nearly up. And then I grabbed Resident Evil 2. It was $20 or $25, something like that. And I was like, I'm not 100% sure if I'll get to it anytime soon, but I would like to try because obviously everyone's saying it's one of the best games of the year. So I was like, it's here. It's
a Game of the Year nominees.
Yeah, that's very true. So I was like, $25, hard to pass that up. Feel like I should give it a go if I can find the time. So I did buy that, and now I have Resident Evil 2. You've played more than I have. I mean, at least you played it at fucking PAX.
Yeah, I played a good 30 minutes.
Loved it. Loved every second of it, I'm sure.
It works. You walk around, kill zombies.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. That's why it's Game of the Year. This story, though, as people who, as I just said, I haven't played it yet, but I don't know how this works. I honestly don't understand how they could put out Resident Evil 2 Remake, a game that everyone's screaming is high caliber, high quality, Game of the Year nominee because of how amazing it is. Not just a simple remaster type situation like the Crash or Medieval or whatever. Like it's a full remake, kind of like the Final Fantasy VII thing, obviously. I don't understand how they put that out this year and they're going to have 3 out next year. Unless they obviously started them all at the same time, which would make sense. But even then, I find it hard to believe that they would start them all at the same time because they didn't know if 2 was going to be a success or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were that confident?
Well, they might have known.
Were they confident?
At a certain, maybe. Or maybe they're just like, yeah, we're going to cash in. We're going to do remakes of all of these games. We're backing ourselves. But it seems odd that it will come out next year, especially when they've got that Project Resistance or whatever it's called coming out as well.
Yeah, but it's so different that this is the one people would play, I guarantee.
Yeah.
People don't even love this game.
But I don't know, a year after, I mean, there was a 2-year gap between 7 and the remake, so I don't know. I think probably more likely 2021. Early 2021.
Yeah, I mean, that would make more sense, but I mean, like, fuck, if it does come out next year, absolutely nuts. Resident Evil's like in a weird thing at the moment because you've got. So if they're gonna remake all of the ones that everyone loves, so like they'll do 3.
It sounds like they're just going to remake all of them.
I mean, that's
whether they're loved or not.
They remake 3. They can remake. Well, so it's like 4. 4 starts being on the cusp of like. You can obviously remake it, but it definitely isn't like 1, 2, 3 like PS1 days. You know what I mean? Like that's a GameCube game, and they remastered it for PS3 and these sorts of things. So it's not quite. It doesn't feel quite as old. But then there's other ones. I guess they could remake like Code Veronica and all this other stuff. I don't know if they will. And then as soon as you get to Resident Evil 5, it's like, well, that was a PS3 game. Like, you can't remake that. You're just kind of remastering it at that point. Like, how much are you really doing there? And then you have, so it's like, this is one thing that's going on. The Project Resistance thing, whatever the hell it is, the co-op game that they revealed a couple months ago. People weren't too hot on that. So I really don't know why they keep making these co-op Resistance games. I don't know if they sell better than I think they do, because as far as I can tell, anytime on the internet, Resident Evil fans don't care for them. You know, they're like, I don't want this. This isn't what I played Resident Evil for. But everyone does want the sequel to Resident Evil 7 or remake or whatever the fuck we call that thing now. I don't know. Which I presume they've been working on for quite some time, because that game came out 4 years ago, I guess, the original one. So, and it's like, that's definitely going to be a next-gen title. But then I have lots of questions for that as well. Like, when that releases, is it still going to have PSVR support and all this other stuff? Like, because that was I wouldn't say a big factor of it, but big enough that a lot of people considered the game one of the best PSVR games. So, weird time for Resident Evil. But honestly, if they come out and they reveal this for next year, I have a lot of questions. I will not get the answers to them, but I have a lot of questions. Next thing I thought was interesting here comes from, I lost the mental blank on the site name there, PlayStationLifestyle.net. Feedback after Life is Strange 2's first episode encouraged DontNod to bring back a character. So I thought this was interesting simply because obviously we talk a lot of shit all the time about why is there such long episode gaps between these Walking Dead games?
Why is there 24 months between episodes?
And all this sort of stuff. And you're always like, why is it happening? Blah, blah, blah. Now, the other week I saw they did an interview where they talked about the fact that, yes, they do take time to like read what people say and whatever else and hear fan feedback in between and whatever else. But this article just straight up addresses one of those changes. So they write, in the past, DontNod has addressed the benefits of episodic releases. Most notably, such experiences allow the developer to adjust course based on player feedback if necessary. The same rings true for Life is Strange 2, and DontNod took advantage of this particular practice very early in the sequel's release cycle. Apparently, Life is Strange 2's Lila only returns after the first episode because fans enjoyed her so much. I just want to pause and quickly, not like spoilers or anything, but for people who haven't played the game, Lila is basically the main character's best friend in the first episode. And the game starts with them having a chat. They're talking. Within the first hour or so, then later you have like a phone conversation with her. But then when shit hits the fan and you have to go on the run, you never see her again, obviously. And they explain that originally you weren't ever going to see or speak to her again. In an interview of Game Reactor lead writer Jean-Luc Cano, I don't know, made note of this. He told the publication, quote, "What I like in episodic structure is that it allows us to make some quick adjustments between episodes, even if the main story is written from the beginning. As previously mentioned, some of the adjustments come courtesy of feedback and player choice. Lila serves as one example for Life is Strange 2. So, for the example in episode 1, you have the character of Lila, and for us, at the end of the first episode, when Sean calls Lila and says, "Okay, goodbye," and breaks his phone, for us the story was done. But we had a lot of feedback from players that loved Lila so much, so we said, okay, let's bring her back in episode 2, and we give the player the possibility to call her again, even if it'll have bad consequences for Sean. How else a single season may change throughout development would offer fans fascinating insight into the overall process. Whether or not DontNod will ever go into further detail about this topic is everyone's guess, though. Yeah, so I just personally find this quite interesting because it's always like Life is Strange is on this like average 3 months between episodes. 2 to 3 months, I guess, like between episodes. That's for season 2, and people are always screaming, and I get it, and I'm somewhat the same. Where I'm like, it does kill the pacing somewhat. You know, like it's such a long time. I think monthly or something, or just a little bit closer would be so much better. But it's just like such a long time, and you always did wonder, like, is it because, like, why does it take so long? Is it because they don't start working on them until the episode's out? Like, what are they doing on it? And, you know, it does seem that the way talking about it's like, okay, we have A to Z of the story and the story beats and whatever. And I presume they have all the episodes fleshed out and they're working on them somewhat all at the same time. Obviously, then focusing on where they need to once they've got all the plans laid out. But yeah, I guess some of that time, maybe they literally do like add a month. Maybe they could have the games out a lot earlier, but they're like, you know what? Let's just add like an extra amount of time here so we can get player feedback. And maybe that's the way they like doing it. And not like, oh, tell us what you like or don't like and we'll kill that character off and this and that. But like generally being able to react to people online talking about how much they love a character and then bring them back. I think that's positive reaction, I guess. Because that's literally just people on Reddit and Tumblr, wherever else being like, because I after I played every episode of Life is Strange, I usually like head over to the Reddit or something and see what everyone's thoughts were on it and general consensus. Like, did everyone like this or not like it? Because at least on the Reddit, I know the people there are people who like the game and are actually giving like feedback and not just like if I look on Twitter, it's just people saying, you know, like it's very trolly. It's not like really good feedback. At least on there, they're people talking about who actually like the game. So yeah, I remember after I played the first episode, there were even after the second episode when people found out that you could call Lila in that game in the second episode, people were like going head over moon for it. And then as the season continued, people were still like, oh, this Lila. It turned out there was this massive fan base for this one character who shows up very briefly for like the first hour, half hour, whatever it is of that first episode. It's so weird sometimes how people can just like grab on to like the most random characters that you personally don't care for or think twice about. Yeah. So do you think it's a good thing that they do this, or would you're like, just make the fucking game?
I mean, it sounds like they only just gave her a little bit more to do, so I don't know if it would have made that much of an effect or how much it mattered to people in the overall story. Whether she has like a big thing coming up in episode 5, it's like it's because of the fans. Unlikely. But I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it's cool to a certain degree that people are able to shape the story, I guess, to a certain degree. But I feel like if it had have come out sooner or more regularly or more fixed intervals, then we'd be talking about Life is Strange 2 more than we probably are at the moment.
It's a really weird one, honestly, because like, and I can't say if it sticks to landing yet because the final episode comes out in a week, I guess. Comes out like the 4th, the 3rd of December, whatever it is. Yeah. So I can't say if it sticks to landing, but if it does, like it's definitely one of my favorite games of the year. Like where it would fall in that, I don't know. But yeah, it's like I know there's like a group of people who love it, and like every time an episode releases, you know, like I can go on the Reddit and see people loving it, but generally. You haven't heard anyone talk about it all year, no?
No. I suspect people played like one episode or 2 episodes and like, I'm just going to wait for the whole thing to come out and be done before.
I've said this before about Telltale and all that. That's what kills them. Like, I understand that people are like, but my money and I want to wait for it to be on sale and all this, whatever else. I understand like whether...
Not even just on sale, just for it all to be there in one go.
Yeah, I get
so you can play it all
like,
in one go.
But it's like, if you wait for a comic, like imagine if everyone waited for a comic to release as a graphic novel and didn't buy it weekly.
Yeah.
They would stop making the comic weekly.
I've always been interested to see how much trade sales affects whether they keep doing monthly issues, but
well, yeah, I mean the comics industry is an interesting thing and all, but
interesting beast.
Yeah, I do know some comics, they like cancel the monthly thing, and they just go trade because they're not making the sales.
Yeah,
they don't get as much money that way though.
Yeah,
and potentially that means they have to have a higher trade sale number to keep the comic going. Even then, you know what I mean? Like I feel like the threshold for like indie comic. This is a side note, but we can tie it in. I feel like the threshold for like successful indie comic, for example, tying into Life is Strange, successful indie comic on a monthly basis, the number you'd need to sell single issues is a lot lower than what you would need to sell as a trade every 6 months. I feel like that number would be a lot higher because you're releasing it straight as a trade. So it's like, I often wonder if Life is Strange could somewhat be similar. I don't know. And it's a hard one to work out. But I definitely do know, based on the Walking Dead thing, that they, not to say that what management did to Telltale was good, but they needed the money from people buying into those seasons straight up to work. Now, so
yeah, it was kind of like a reverse Kickstarter, I guess. In hindsight, the way where the season pass funded a certain degree of development, which isn't probably the way they wanted to be doing it. They would prefer to have the project fully funded before they put out pre-orders, but I think they were just working fist to mouth for like a good couple of years there. So.
And then you got to like with DontNod again. It's like that new game they're putting out with Xbox, which I'm forgetting the name of. Time something. I really don't remember. Sorry.
Who Am I or something?
Yeah, something like that. Actually, I don't know. Whatever it is, that's got Xbox's involvement. Xbox exclusive, PC exclusive, and they're releasing the 3 episodes on a rigid structure. So then it does beg the question of like, okay, so when you have a little bit more money in the back pocket, does that then enable you to be like, okay, we will hit this date, this
Tell
date.
me why.
That's it. Tell me why. It's like, we'll hit this date, and this date. Whereas Life is Strange is like, okay, well, we're going to take way longer because we can't work on it as hard. We've got less people on our team. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's interesting. It's always interesting. And also, to be honest, I feel like if Life is Strange 3 comes, I wouldn't be surprised to see the release schedule just change, because Life is Strange 2 is like the last of its kind at the moment, I guess. Are there any other games doing this stuff, like spread out episodic stuff really at the moment?
Probably, but they're even smaller than Life is Strange.
Yeah. So all the narrative stuff coming out these days is more rigid. Even their upcoming stuff is more rigid, so I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. The last thing I wanted to shout out here, because I saw a lot of people talking about it on Twitter, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a go. So Nolan North and Troy Baker do this. Oh, geez, I can't remember what's the YouTube channel called? I already forgot.
Retro Replay.
They do this Retro Replay YouTube channel. Have you watched this before, their channel?
Yeah, I've watched their channel before. Yeah.
Okay, so I never watched their channel before. Cool guys. Do I have time to watch them play their own games?
You got to support indie creators.
Yeah, I'm sure. They really need my fucking YouTube subscriptions. Yeah, Nolan North and Troy Baker do this YouTube channel where they've been playing through their own games. So they've just done all of the Uncharted, I think, 1 through 3.
No, they finished Uncharted 1.
Oh, they did 1?
They started 2.
Oh,
because Nolan North had never played any Uncharted game.
Oh, I can tell Nolan North never plays games in general. I'll tell you what, that. But I watched this episode because they've started playing through The Last of Us. And honestly, the reason I'm bringing this up is because even if you don't really care about watching them play games, or you don't care about watching Let's Plays much in general, I would suggest watching this one if you're a fan of The Last of Us, because there's some good behind the scenes like knowledge and talk dropped by Troy Baker throughout it. Yeah. And also you can you get a real sense for the guy and like how much love he has for the industry and respect for people, because it's like every single actor that comes along, he's just like, oh, that's such and such, that's such and such, that random NPC over there, yeah, voiced by so and so, this thing, you know, like it really is like you can tell he loves being in the like video game.
He must have like a great ear to be able to pick out who's who.
All that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Or he's like got a cheat sheet off the screen.
Maybe. You never know. So he's playing. No, he's not playing. Nolan North is the one playing through the first episode here, and then they're going to switch in episode 2. But they also have Hannah Hayes come in for this first episode, who plays Troy. Sorry, Sarah in the game, which is Troy's. I'm getting all this. I'm trying to say the actors plus the Joel's daughter. Troy's daughter, whatever. It's not really so, but Joel's daughter in The Last of Us is who she plays at the start of the game. So obviously, if you played the game, you know. If you haven't played the game, you're in for a shocking thing here. But yeah, so I watched this one, and it's the whole reason to watch it is just for the shocking moment of getting to see them react to their own scene of her dying and all that sort of stuff. But then it's also worth watching it because Nolan has never played the game before, knows anything that's happened, and his face the entire time, like what's happening, is just George. And I also wrote down that like 10 minutes before that happens, like right at the start of the game, as everything's starting to pick up, I loved how Nolan just goes, this is terrifying as a father, this is terrible. And that's like 10-15 minutes before the whole death scene, and by
the other two give like a sideways look.
Yeah, they give it a look like like, oh god. Yeah, but this is really great. This
props is not being spoiled, I guess,
somehow.
Yeah,
they do fucking Comic-Cons and stuff all the time together. He must just zone out when Troy's talking. Troy's like, yeah, and the death scene in The Last of Us. Nolan's like,
oh yeah, lots of deaths in The Last of Us.
Yeah, well, I mean, Uncharted.
He was in that game.
Honestly, Nolan North just seems like such a it seems out of it half the time. Yeah, no, but it's really good. I would highly suggest that people watch it if they want to get emotional and get some behind the scenes news drops at the same time, I guess.
Well,
yeah.
Just get prepped.
Get prepped for Last of Us 2. I don't know if they'll finish it before that comes out. I have no idea. I do know that Troy's wearing a Last of Us Part 2 t-shirt in this though, so maybe he'll accidentally let loose with some. No, they wouldn't let that happen. accidentally let some spoilers out. But also the fact they were talking about how that Hannah Hayes girl, she was like 11 when they filmed this originally. That just shows you how long ago that fucking game came out.
Again, it came out on PS3, so
it's so old. It's ridiculous. When she says that, she's like, "Oh yeah, I was like 11 when we filmed this," and Nolan North is like, "You were 11." Whatever. It's like, holy shit. Yeah. Yeah. So I'd highly, that's all. I just wanted to give a shout out to that. It was really good. Do you have any other pitches? Is there any other good ones on that channel?
Yeah. I enjoyed the Uncharted series. Obviously, Nolan North are very good at video games. So
no, that's very obvious. Yeah. You tell he doesn't play them often.
Yeah. So. So they just started Uncharted 2, so we'll catch up with that one as well.
Yeah, my favorite thing is every time it cuts out of a cutscene and it goes to like gameplay, and then Nolan's just like standing there, not doing anything, and Troy has to be like, "You're on the sticks." He's like, "Oh, okay. I'm on. Let's go."
Well, I mean, it's seamless, so
it's quite good. All right. That'll do it for this week's episode of Platinum Explosion. You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaldil, VIVALADIL. You can follow Ash on Twitter at AshleyHobby, ASHLEYHOBLEY. Follow the show on Twitter at Plod? Yeah, sure. Podcast, you can help out the show by giving us a review on either Apple Podcasts or Podchaser, or alternatively, just tweet at any of the Twitter accounts mentioned and let us know you liked it. You can join our Discord to chat to us about games, ask for trophy tips, or send in questions, topics to the show at explosionnetwork.com/Discord. And this is, of course, a product of the Explosion Network, of which you can find many more articles, news, reviews at explosionnetwork.com. You can follow Explosion Network on Twitter at ExplosionPod. And until next week, remember that every trophy counts.